Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are here for another episode of Black History Closer Than You Think. And we are here in the headquarters for the Jada House International with the founder and executive director, Terri Shields. And we are honored to be here with her. And we're here for a reason. Uh, we're here to show how history is being made by a person that's a lot closer to us than we realize. But there's never been a thing called Jada House ever in history until Terri Shields put it together. And so we are honored and we are excited to be able to sit and talk to her about the genesis of all of it and also the beginning of her life, how she got started, and her family, and any other things that she wants to share with us because it's all history in the making. And believe me, as the years goes on, the history books will speak of her. They will speak her name because of the things that she has done. So, welcome.
Thank you, Pastor Tim.
Glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
So just wanted to start off by letting you talk a little bit about Jada House International and kind of how that got started and what inspired you to do it, because in this community there has been great needs, and for you to just, I mean, when you did this, and thankfully I'm a part of your story, because when you did this you were still working, and what it took, the time that it took, the work that it took to put it all together, you were really committed and you went through with it, and it began to grow and everything began to happen. And so I think that the community needs to hear this. So
Wow.
share it with us.
Well, thank you again for having me. And a journey. It was a journey. I can go back, but I don't want to go too far back into my inappropriate days when I was running wild. And I end up getting a job at UPMC Health Plan, and I was with them for 22 years, and I got lupus at the time. So I was devastated. I thought something was going to drastically happen. I thought I wouldn't be here today. So when I recovered from this, the bout that I had recovered from was I had congestive heart failure and I had kidney shutdown in 2012, and I graduated from Carlo at that year. But I decided, I said, I'm left here for a purpose and for a reason. And I like people, when I was in the streets, I like people for the wrong reasons and right reasons, but I like people and helping them. And so I decided that I would get a group of women together and just sit in my living room, and I loved to cook at the time, and just cook a meal, and we fellowship about the things that we were going through, whether it was children dying of gun violence, whether it was chronic illnesses, whether it was trying to make the community better. And the ladies that I joined forces with, which are no longer with us, Renee Fuller was very influential in making me do sign-in sheets and making me have agendas. And their mother, Mary Fuller, would come, and Carol would come. And as I stated, they're all not here with us, but we just started and we gathered. It was just three of us, and then it just grew. Just by word of mouth. I think it was the food, but I don't know. But they would just come. And then the Jada House came from my grandchildren. I have 12, but they all didn't make the cut. So the grandchildren with the initials JADA made the cut, and that's where Jada came from. And I did that purposely to let them know that anything you put your mind to and you're consistent with it, it will come full fruition. And they always say, "Man, you was not playing." I'm like, I was not playing. And so we created different programs that we do now. Renee started the Blast Off. I named it. She said, let's do book bag giveaway. And at the time, we didn't have a 501c3. We were just like pitching in, and I was going in debt, buying food and paper products and all that. And then the Greater Hazelwood Plan came about, and Kurt Holbrook was a part of that at the time. And the GACC, I wasn't familiar with it, but I got familiar with it when he asked me to be on the committee. I think it was the steering committee, I believe. And I was telling him, because I would ask people for money, but you were very influential at the time, because our first blast off You initially made sure we had hot dogs and hamburgers, and at the time I thought we had a wrap because we had a name and we had we had an articles of incorporation, but we didn't have the license, the 501c3 license. And I went to the bank with the check, and they said we can't cash this, and I'm like, oh my God. But anyway, you came through. We had hot dogs and hamburgers. We gave away 35 book bags, and it was really nice. We did it at the spray park, and then I thought about seniors. Who takes care of the seniors? Where are we doing with them? So I thought about a senior luncheon. But at that time, Kurt was still managing that Greater Hazelwood, well, not the Greater Hazelwood Community Collaborative, but the plan, Our Hands, Our Plans. And so he was influential in getting our 501c3 expedited.
Okay.
So he went to how he ever went to Harrisburg, whoever he talked to. We started in 2014. We had our 501c3 in 2016. So from that point on, it was full force. So then we decided to do a Christmas program, and the senior luncheon, we did that first one in the church. And you came to that one as well. I think you were painting that day. You were getting things done down at the COL, and you came up. You said, I don't care. Just come up and just show your face. But that was our first senior luncheon, and we grew from there. And even with the book bag drive, we grew from 35 book bags to 500 a year, you know, and then even during COVID, we didn't give as many book bags away at that time because it was a grab and go, but we did it was a give back, give black, and we gave 5 churches a donation, and we also gave some of the black organizations, or no, I'm not saying that right. Like we gave C&Ds, and we gave Monet. We gave the companies or organizations, we gave them checks too. But we gave a lot of money out during that time because it was put on my heart. God said, give them this, give them that, and I'm like, I'm giving away my salary. And he said, that's okay, you'll be fine. Make sure you're all right. So we gave like at least $14,000 back to the community at that time. So I was pretty shaken by it, but I was pretty pleased that we were able to do it. And from there, we just continued to launch. And like you said in the beginning, I was working a full-time job at the time. And how I did it, I really can't tell you how, but I was determined, because even when I went to my manager at the very beginning, I said, I'm going to start a nonprofit and I'm going to do something. And she was like, how are you going to do it? You need people, and you need this, and you need that. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And right to this day, she said, Terri, you're killing it. Because I retired last year, September 3rd. It was a big leap of faith because, like I said, I have lupus and I was worried about benefits, but I haven't missed a meal yet or a doctor's appointment.
That's fantastic.
So
that's fantastic. Well, listen, you know, those things that you're talking about, I mean, that's an amazing start. It's an amazing way to get started. And of course, the whole community has been touched by the work that you have done, and your mother also. We'll talk about your mom. The 2 people that you mentioned earlier, Renee and,
yes,
and Carol, Terri,
yes,
the other Terri,
yes,
so who is the sister of Renee
and Carol.
And so just, you know, what Jada House has meant to Hazelwood is just everything. And so let's go back a little bit. Let's go back and talk a little bit about how you grew up and what it was like growing up in Hazelwood, you know. And maybe you can talk a little bit about your mom, but it'd be interesting to hear what it was like growing up in Hazelwood as a black woman.
We grew up in Broadview Drive, 1019 Broadview Drive. I'll never forget the address. And I had a pretty decent upbringing. My stepdad, my mom, you know, I was a latchkey child. Had to make sure I had that key around my neck and go in the house and not let nobody in, not answer the door and stay in there till they came home. But for me, I was the only child for 9 years, and my sister finally came, but I was it was great being raised up because they had everything to do. Like Sarah Dixon had the rec center going on, they had parties, they had the Y going on where they had all kind of photography. Kurt's dad was down there, and Liv and all those people were down. So we always had something to do. It was not a time where you did not have anything to do. If your parents were put you, and my mother was like I said, I was latchkey, so I had to sit on the porch a lot. But it was great growing up in Hazel because there was always something to do. There was like cooking classes, sewing classes. There was always something to do, and I enjoyed the schools. And we did a film, and I'm just going to back up just a little bit. We did a film for Damascus last month. Well, I guess last week on my birthday, and it's called Colored to Black. And we talked about the racial disparities. And I'm going back to the childhood. We wasn't raised to be, I don't like black or I don't like white. We all were a good community. We were a culturally diverse community. Like everybody got along. Like you didn't know to call people these derogatory names and if they did, I didn't hear it and I didn't see it. That's the way I was raised, to treat people the way I wanted to be treated. But Hazelwood was a great community, and then they tore down Broadview Drive, and then we had to move to Code Place, and they tore down Code Place, we had to move to Johnston Avenue, and then we had to leave Gladstone because I went to Bergwijn, I went to Gladstone, and then then they they didn't tear Gladstone down, but now it's different. But I went to Brashear. That was trying for me because being bused to a foreign place was not cool. I mean, we end up adjusting to it, but it's always good to be in your own community because it was walking distance. Your mother didn't have to worry about, you being bused all the way across into another place, which I don't think my mother minded. She probably was glad I was bused, but I don't think she really was, but I know I wasn't. And I don't think the community really wanted that. And even with the Propel school, it's a good school, I guess. I don't know, I have any children, but Bergwijn was a wholesome, family oriented. Even the teachers, you knew the teachers, you knew the gym, you knew everybody, and everybody was willing to help. And you might have had some ones that you didn't know about, but it was good growing up in Glen Hazel, Hazelwood. It was great growing up in Hazelwood. I had left Hazelwood for a little while, but came back by the house, raised my children, so Hazelwood is my home.
Can you talk about the circumstances around which those places that you lived in were torn down and you had to move from one place to the next? How often was that, and how old were you?
When we lived on Broadview Drive, I believe I was in high school when they tore it down because I was going to Gladstone from Code Place because that was a long hike from Code Place, but we walked it. Yeah. Winter, rain, whatever, we walked it and we enjoyed walking it and then they had, and Frida's used to be down on 2nd Avenue, and we would get hoagies and walk up the hill, and it was just great. But they tore down Broadview Drive when I was going to high school. I can't remember the age, maybe 13, 14, something like that. And then we were in Code Place, and by the time they tore down Code Place, I was in high school. I was going to Brashear because we were getting bused from Code Place to Brashear, and I was in the 9th grade, so I had to be about 15, 16, something like that. And then we was down, and I finished Brashear on Johnston Avenue. So yeah, it was crazy, and I don't even know the purpose of why they tore them down because, as you know, there's nothing up Broadview except for a nursing home, I believe, and Code Place is like just a dusted land that something should be done with it.
Were the majority of the kids and families that were impacted by these things, were they
African Americans?
Mostly black?
Yeah, because even Sugar, they called it Sugar Hill, but they were everybody. And my aunt, we talked about that at Damascus. It was always strategically planned that the whites lived on one side of the street and the blacks lived on the other side of the street in the public housing. But I never paid any attention, but she did because my grandmother and my grandfather, they grew up on Roselle Court. Yeah. So Glen Hazel was like, it's been like years and years and like centuries that it was, flourishing. But then, like I said, they tore. I think they were army barracks, I think, and they tore them down and they rebuilt those houses on Johnston Avenue. But yeah.
Talk a little bit about what your mom used to do as you watched her do these things.
My mom is my mom. She's funny, but
she's the queen.
She really is because she taught me a lot about morals and values and caring about people, and it stuck with me. Even in my crazy days, it stuck with me. But while she was in Glen Hazel and Johnston Avenue, she opened up her home to children, to adults. She paid for some children to go to school. I remember the girl's name, but she paid for her to go to school. She allowed people that didn't have nowhere to stay with their children in her house until they found somewhere to stay. She entertained the kids in the neighborhood in her basement, from what I gathered, because I was grown and gone, and she would they would have popcorn and they would have movies, and she would pray with them and do Bible stories and all this stuff. And I mentioned when I posted her on Facebook one day for Mother's Day or something, or a birthday, and they were like all these people were like, "That's your mom. Oh my God, I love your mom," and da da da. And I'm like, "You know my mom?" Like, but those are the things that she would do in the community, and it was her and Howard Jackson's mom. They were close. They were very close, and they would do like a lot of praying and a lot of entertaining, people who didn't have, and giving away clothes and stuff like that. So I didn't know she was doing all that because I was out there doing some other stuff. But I found out, through the years that that's what she did, and that's where I feel like I picked up the torch where she left off at. You know what I mean? So she did a lot in the community that I didn't know about.
Yeah. When you think about the work that you've done, and as I mentioned before, Hazelwood, I don't think Hazelwood would be where it is today if you had not started doing what you were doing, because the work that you were doing was impacting people who would later impact other people, and who would later impact other people. So your work is like the fishes and the loaves in the Bible. You know how Jesus held it up to God, he blessed it, he broke it, and it just kept on breaking. So your work continues to break even to this day. But talk about maybe some of the people that you touched through Jada House International and what they're doing right now.
Well, I do know I touched a lot of the teens, okay, because even though I touch family members as well, because they always talk about what we do on Monday nights and keep bringing women in on Monday nights, and right now we're on Zoom. But my aunt and Terri, there was just different ones. Renee, they would invite different women to come and just sit and fellowship with us. Even Elder Ebony, she would come sometime. They would all come and sit and pray. Pastor Nate would come sometime and give lectures at the meetings. So I know I impact people to go out and do other things or do more for the community, and that's great. And then the kids, but some of them were one is in college, one's in college. And most of them are working now, just working jobs. But when they see me, it's like, oh my God, Miss Terri, you know what? I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And some of them have children, and some of them still come back and just sit and just chill with me. And that's a good feeling, because you never know what kind of impact you put on somebody just because you sit down and listen, just because you show them that you care, and just because they're allowed to come here or wherever I'm having programming at to be themselves, to be able to express themselves. Couldn't express myself and tell anybody I don't like my mom. She's getting on my nerves, because they would go back and tell my mom, Terri said. So at least they're able to express themselves and get good resources here, and also input, because I won't never tell anybody to do the opposite of what I wouldn't do. Right. So you have to make it work. Try to make it work. So yeah, I think that was the impact that I've caused on some of the teens and the women. So that's a good thing.
Well, under your leadership, when you were the chair of the GHCC, the Greater Hazelwood Community Collaborative, you took that position just before
COVID.
The pandemic hit.
Oh my
and
goodness.
And I had the pleasure of watching you lead, and watching how you pulled people together, how you called the community together, the community of service providers together. And I remember very clearly on the 13th of March, you calling a meeting, and you had it over at Center of Life. And we all came, as many of us that could come, we came. And you were talking to us about, we got to get it together. We got to have this thing ready to go. We had no idea that the governor would shut down the state that Monday.
Yes.
That Monday.
I remember that.
But because of your leadership and because of what you did, we were ready on that Monday. so that Friday we met, the 13th. That Monday we were delivering food, and
Yes.
we were all organized, and everybody was doing what they were doing. And you held those meetings. You kept those meetings going online, where we would update each other, and we would continue to find out what people needed and the resources you kept. You continued to communicate. You had constant communication going with all of us throughout the pandemic. And you ran Jada House International.
And I worked.
And you worked.
I had a
and
job.
You worked, because that was before you retired.
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
worked.
That's right.
It was I want to say this about the Greater Hazel. I think it's a great organization, that everybody created in the community, and it keeps us informed, and it keeps us informed, and it keeps us to continue to reach out for the needs of the people. We have to agree to disagree. We have to come together, because what I saw, what I learned a lot, which is helping me today in my leadership role. And everything happens for a reason and purpose. And I always say, you tricked me, but it was a good trick to be involved, because it taught me a whole lot. And during COVID, for me to be able to have all these meetings, because I had to have leadership help, to help me with those. And you helped me, and different ones helped me with that, with putting those meetings together. Danielle, they all helped me put those things together. But we came together as a community. Yeah. I'll never forget that. Yeah. Like, there's no reason why we still can't come together. I mean, there's differences or whatever, but we actually all came together and made sure people had food, made sure people got out to vote, made sure the kids had their homework, made sure we had lunch. Yeah. We all came together to make it happen. Right. And I'll never forget that. Now, my role, I always, it was mediocre, I'll say, for myself. And it's good to hear that I did just a great job. But the communication came from me making sure emails and communication went out. That just came from being a corporate job. Mm-hmm. We always had to make sure emails went out. So if it came at 2 o'clock in the morning and I was up at 2, then the email went out at 2, because I wanted to make sure you got it before I forgot. Because like you said, I had a job, I had Jada House, and I was running this cheer thing. And I'm like, and to sit here and think about this, I don't even know how I did all that. Yeah. But it was an experience, and I knew the first year was very hard for me, because I've never had to encompass a lot of people with different personalities, different opinions. I never had to encompass that. But the second year, it was like I said, you're done. Right. You did what I asked you to do. You were obedient, not what you did what Tim asked you to do, but you were obedient to me. You didn't give up. Because there was one point I told my mom, I said, Mom, I don't want to do that no more. And I thought she was going to say, well, go ahead and quit. She said, you can handle it. And I'm like, what? So,
See, that's what mothers do. Mothers do that kind of stuff.
Like, what? And I didn't even argue with her. Like, I thought you were going to say, but I didn't even say. Now I was like, okay. But the second year, it was like kind of a breeze. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was kind of, I floated through. Yeah. But I was ready to give it up. But I floated through. But like I said, in the end, it was a learning experience to help me. It built me up to be a better leader, to be able to speak in front of people, to be able to understand there's going to be differences, but you're going to have to pull the reins in and hold on and say, okay, wait a minute, stop, instead of just letting it go on and on and on. You have to, so that was a great experience for me. It built me.
It meant so much to all of us, to see somebody who's born and raised in this community take the lead in a pandemic.
That was crazy.
And there's a reason why God chose you to do it, And so, when you said what your mom said to you, made me think about something my mom said to me. And it's interesting, because the exact same words. The exact same words.
You can handle it.
I was talking to my mom. I talked to my mom about something, that this promotion I was going to get. And then she looked at me and she said, you can do that. And then she just walked away.
Yes.
And that's the power of a mother, that, really could just speak this, just give you the power, just hand it over to you.
Gave it right back.
With a few little words, and then just walk away.
And I was stunned.
Yeah.
And I said, I guess I can handle it, because she's not telling me. And I would have, if she'd have said, go ahead and quit, then I would have quit.
Yeah.
But she said, you can handle it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I guess I can't quit, because she's looking for me to do
Yeah.
what I need to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, but that was a learning experience for me that I'll never forget,
Yeah.
because it helped me to grow.
Yeah.
It really helped me to
Yeah.
grow and understand what is needed in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Not just it's brick and mortar, but it's more than that.
Right.
You know, the infrastructure, all those things, like the housing piece, all those things that are needed. And I can go on and on and on, but
Yeah.
it was a learning experience.
Yeah. No. Well, you did, in my opinion, you did an outstanding job.
Thanks.
You know, and I was honored to be able to work with you. You know, and so much has happened. Let's talk a little about the future of Jada House International.
Oh
the
my
vision
goodness.
for the future. I know there's a lot to think about, but you know, you've touched a lot of people, and a lot has gone on through Jada House, and there are a lot of people now who depend on you, not just in the community,
Outside,
but in other communities.
yes. Well, this morning a lady called me because we have our website updated from CMU. They updated it. So if you wanted to go to the senior luncheon, which we're full now, we don't have any more seats. But if you wanted to go to the senior luncheon, you could register on our website. Mm-hmm. And she did an RSVP, and I said, unfortunately, there's no more seats. And so she called me this morning. She said, did you get my, and she's not even from Hazelwood. She's from East Liberty or something. And she said, I said, yeah, did you get my email? I said, unfortunately. And she was on the phone like, well, maybe somebody will cancel. I said, well, sweetheart, I don't know if they're going to cancel, until the day of, they don't show up. And I wouldn't want you to come and then you don't have a seat and they show up. And she's like lingered on this phone waiting for me to make make some kind of way where she can get in. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm so sorry, but we will have some other things coming up for seniors. And that's another piece of Jada House. We just started our Seniors Going Strong, which that's where our luncheon is our senior luncheon, but now we have a name for the seniors. So it's Seniors Going Strong. So we're doing workshops. We did our first workshop at the community kitchen. Pitt came in and did healthy exercises, asked some questions about growing old. And then Allegheny County Department of Aging did elder abuse and talked about different things of that nature. Yeah. And I felt like, and I want to mention her because she was influential in me doing the Seniors Going Strong, because it was Tracy Johnson. She said they had money for seniors, and I was like, okay. She said, what can you do? I said, I really don't know, but we'll apply for it. So we start using the money this year. So we got a Seniors Going Strong workshops going on now, which we got one. We had the first one in which it was great. We had the first, and we had Duquesne University. They had a table for resources. And then we're going to have one in East Liberty at the UPMC Neighborhood Health Plan Center, and we're going to have UPMC. They're going to do the lectures for dementia and Alzheimer's and all those types of things. And we have a guest speaker, and also cater meal I like to eat. And then we're going to do another one on the south side over there on Technology Drive on Alpha 2nd Avenue. Okay. So that's something that's coming down the pike, because I feel like we need branches. I'm not going to make too many branches because I need capacity. Right now I'm doing capacity building. So if anybody wants to volunteer and work, come on, let me know. But we got that going on. And then I'm doing a cohort with CSP. We're doing a kinship program. That'll be launching in January. Grandparents raising grandchildren, which is a commodity right now. Right. Unexpectedly, you have gun violence, you have opiate addiction, you have chronic illness, you have all those things where the grandparents or uncles or aunts are unexpectedly raising these children, which they need. And I want to have all kind of resources for them. We got to have I'm looking for a space to do that in, so they can have therapists and counselors, and we have breakfast day, and we have a day where they can sit down and look out the window. They just want to do that and just get their hair done, nails on, shopping, whatever, without having to be, because it came from an experience of me raising my 3 grandchildren, and there was no resources for me because I had a job. And if I wanted to do second chance, you had to go through these classes and get, stipends and stuff. And I wasn't really interested in that because I was working, and my mindset wasn't stipend. It was work, and just work and do it the best you can. So that's what we did. And I wish things could have been a little bit different, but they weren't. So now I want to make it different. I want to make it different for the next group of parents, because that therapeutic thing and that abandonment issue is real. It's really real. So they need that to be able to relax and enjoy their lives. And so then we just named the teens, not teen night anymore. It's teens causing impact. So I'm building that up again so we can get more teens in here. But the thing about it right now, I'm doing capacity building with PACE, and we have a consultant that's working with us so that we can get staff on board and get a bigger space, share a space, whatever we need to do, because we are outgrowing this space that we're in now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're a person, you're a black person who is made history and is making history. So just let's be clear about that. You've made history and you're making history, and I hope that you will keep a journal or something of the things that you've done, the things that, the positions that you've been in, because you don't lift yourself up. I noticed that. You're humble. You don't lift yourself up, but when I look at you, I see a person that I look up to. I see a person that I'm really admire, and I appreciate your stick-to-itiveness, your perseverance, your resilience. All of those things I appreciate. That's your mother.
Shirley. That's my mother.
Well, see now,
because she said
we have to interview the queen.
Yes, she said you don't never start something and don't finish. Because if you don't finish, you'll always not finish. And that's when I was at CCAC. I was ready to quit, and she's like, Terri Lynn, if you start something, you need to finish it, or you'll never finish anything. So when I started this, there's blood, sweat, and tears sometimes.
Yeah.
But God just, He opens up windows, and then, you go through valley moments, and, you don't stay in the valleys, you go through the valleys. So, you pick yourself up and say, what was the purpose you starting it and not finishing it? Like, it's the purpose in this, and it's not for me. The purpose is for my grandchildren, or it's for somebody else that's looking on to see that when you start something that you really got your mind set on and your heart set on, and it's a good thing, then you finish it. You don't just stop. You just keep going. Yeah, you just keep going.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I want to take the time to thank you for giving us this interview, for being one of the people that we were able to interview. Black History, Closer Than You Think. Terri Shields, the founder and executive director of Jada House International, right here in Hazelwood. Not too far from where we are, not too far from where you are. She's right here. And a lot of times we tend to take for granted the things that are happening, that are creating history right here, right now. But Terri's right here and right with us. And she's accessible. You can reach her. She's not hiding. She's in the community. She is a community leader. And we want to thank you. With every segment that we've done, we've always ended with a call and response. You know this. You know the call and you know the response. And I'm gonna give out the call. But you got to make sure you give the right response. All right?
Right.
We owe this call and response to James Brown. Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Oh man, that's what I like to hear.
Love it.
That's
it. Good.
That was a great interview.
It was nice. Yes. I love it when somebody leaves and I can follow.